So, Hound W, who is one of the regular question askers of chat, a lot of questions at it. Hound W says, I know you probably have answered this before. How'd you come up with the name Day9? I don't want to tell you the way that I came up with it, because I've done this. I've done this so many times. I always tell this story. I always tell it. So we need a better story. Chat, tell me. Where's the starting location? I need an unbelievably specific location. I don't mean like a school, like super fucking specific, like the janitor's closet at the Wendy's on 49th Street. Like, I need a specific place. Give me a specific place. I need that specific place. And secondly, I need a specific occupation of a person who was there, who was the inspiration for this name. I need this. Cancel FM says Genesis 1:1. And God said, let there be a vague name. Chrono said, the hospital which you were born at the 9th day of the month. Stonehenge, says the next doctor. That's it, it's Stonehenge. You mean Stonehenge? Your finger accidentally put a D in there. You needed to get the N, man. Stonehenge? Really, Stonehenge? Oh my god, the ancient shrubbery planted by prehistoric humans. Stonehenge. That is mysteriously trimmed in a circle underneath the moon. It's somewhere in, I don't know, Europe or some shit? That's how all American school children understand history. Oh yeah, isn't that the Colosseum? That's in Europe, isn't it? We don't learn about Asian or African or South American history. It's Indians in America, and then everything else is in Europe. That's about the way that America understands things. So of course, there I was, somewhere in Europe, getting ready. Let's get this one out. Ugh.
Get down!
I was deep in a European jungle. It was hot. It was by the equator because, again, the Indians or Europe. This is the American education system at work, including my stutter. So there I was. I was in a European jungle, and I came to a clearing, and there it was, before me. Large pillars of kale that form the boundaries of the mysterious tourist attraction Stonehenge. My Sherpa, Gunta, in the European jungle, he was there. And he said, here it is, Sean. Stonehenge, I have brought you here. His face covered in sweat, the machete propped by his side to hold his weight. And I said, thank you, Gunta, doing a traditional European jungle bow. Wait, I realized we didn't actually get the second half of this. Who's the person who was there? Who was there for the creation? We have Stonehenge from the next Doctor, who says the best misspelling of my life. It was top tier. We were all there for it, man. Oh my god, sick! Oh, an armored warhorse. Who was there? And I need a specific name. Or a specific identity, man. Like, really give me that identity. No, more than Indiana Jones. You gotta give me, like, it was Indiana Jones wearing a corset right after he had graduated from community college. Like, I need something that's specific of who this person was. Because we got Stonehenge, which is accidentally the greatest location that is in all of Europe. Well, what's this person's name? Doesn't have to be a real person.
Who am I?
It could be, as Nether says, Chesterfield Snapdragon McFisticuffs, but you gotta give me some background. It can't just be Fabio, as 7 of 9 says. It can't be Alexander the OK, as Steakface says. What? Oh, it's a...
Get down!
Alright, we're answering the question, where did the name Day9 come from? Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm scanning chat. There's all sorts of fetishes coming out right now, says Jerripert. No, that makes a lot of sense. You know, that makes a lot of sense. I'm seeing things like Tom Cruise riding 2 horses tied together by rope after he got out of the river. You're totally barking up the correct tree, Cold Cybercloud, which is the name of the man who typed that.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
Who is it? Let's read some links. Your brother Nick, professional StarCraft caster extraordinaire, with his friend Artosis, who were going through a preteen crisis at the time involving his long-distance girlfriend he met at camp. Kronos, that's right. So, long ago, way back when I was a young boy, I was gallivanting through the jungles of Europe with my Sherpa Gunta. Gunta said, "A little ways up ahead, Sean. Stonehenge is close." We started with a party of 7. 2 had died of dysentery because my audience is mostly gamers. And the 5 of us remained. Me and 4 people who we won't mention again for the purposes of storytelling conciseness. I would say concision, but that sounds a little bit like circumcision. And I am firmly against jick-dokes today. I would never tell a jick-doke. So the 5 of us with 2 corpses behind us headed towards Stonehenge, where great pillars of kale are arranged in a circle underneath the moon that sparkle and shit, referencing, I don't know, Vikings or Scottish people or some shit like that. This is about as far as the American education system goes. And I pushed through, and there were the hedges before me. But they weren't unmanned. There was not a lack of population. It wasn't the case that we didn't not see that there were humans there. Because the 2 that were my brother, Tasteless, StarCraft commentator extraordinaire, and Artosis, who doesn't even receive in a positive in this case, because Kronos was in a hurry to hit enter. I walked up to my dear brother Nick and I said, "Hello, Tasteless," because according to the internet, I wouldn't call him Nick. And he says, "Hey, sleeping drone," and his mouth became exhausted. The number of syllables it took for him to say that made his mouth exhausted. I just told you that. Are you paying attention? And Artosis was there, and he was like, "Yeah!" the way he normally does.
Reporting for duty.
I was trying not to fucking lose him there.
Victory is yours.
We won! We won the game. So I've come through the European jungle. I've come across Tasteless, Artosis, who is only Artosis and nothing more, but who I will say is the Wikipedia of StarCraft. And my brother there with his tired mouth and Artosis. And now Artosis is removing the story so I can finish telling you without laughing. And Nick and I became enwrapped in conversation. We began to discuss all the games that we had played, all the memories we had shared, and all the strategies we could have improved upon in the various games that we played. Gunta had sat down by the giant pillar of kale. Healthily, he sat, waiting for his energy to return so we could make the great trek back with the remaining 5 people who shall still be unnamed because I don't have time to elaborate upon them. And Nick said, "It is a good day to discuss StarCraft with you." And I said, "That reminds me of the Corsair quote, 'It is a good day to die.'" And he said, "Indeed, being one-dimensional brothers, everything is derivative of things from StarCraft." And I said, "Indeed." And he said, "Because it is a good day to see you, Sean. I feel that this day should be memorialized in you in some way, and being relatively unoriginal and young, my cortex hadn't fully formed. I was still going through puberty. I was short. My voice cracked a lot. I had acne that looked terminal." And I said, "Why don't we call me Day?" And he said, Nick was not good at shutting me down. He wanted to make me feel supported. So indeed, there I was, in the gardens of Stonehenge, the famous tourist attraction in Europe, where pretty much history happened according to America. I said, "Nick, I shall forever be known as Day." And he's like, "What about your name, Sean?" And I said, "Not on the internet, Nickeloid." I call him that sometimes. Oh, shit, I told you all. Oh, it's public now. And then what happened? That's a very good question. This is about as far as we've come. This is what happens when you have a collection of material you weren't expecting to have, and someone is standing there going, "This feels like the middle," and I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, that's right. We're not done yet. And then, because we're in Europe, German showed up. That's right. In Stonehenge, a German girl was there. And there she was, with her horse-drawn cart selling pretzels and mustard, because I ate those last time I was in Germany. And that's the way that is now. Her name was... it was Berlin. Jesus, my brain is not functioning well. It was a woman named Berlin from Germany. Isn't that sad? She was selling pretzels and mustard, which are really good if you're ever in Germany. No, her name was Felicity. Thank you, King Watt. Her name was Felicity. She was one of the most beautiful girls I had ever seen. She had long flowing hair that was the color of people indigenous to Germany. She wore clothes as people in Germany do, because when you hear the stereotypes in America and you finally travel to Cologne and to Berlin and to Hanover, you realize, oh yeah, they just have Nike in Germany, right? It's not a really big excitement. There she was, just in a Nike shirt and jeans from Ein Gap, like, I don't know, from the Gap or some shit. And struck by her beauty, her face radiating in the moonlight, encircled by the perfectly artificially trimmed hedges of Stonehenge. And I came up to her and I said, "You are truly beautiful." She responded to me in German. She didn't speak English. And I said, "I think I love you, Felicity." Das Gap, thank you. It's Das Gap, forgive me. Das Gap. Ein Gap. I don't know where Ein Gap is. Ein Baby Gap. Das ist Keksel Wickelraum. That's what she said to me. It was fucked up. But yes, I looked at Felicity and I said, "I love you, Felicity. Will you be mine?" And this is where I have to introduce a translator to the story, because due to continuity, I've established that she speaks no English. She does not speak as das English in. Sie sprechen sie Deutsch. Or something. Approximately. And I said to the translator, Howard, I said, "Howard, tell her I'm into her." And Howard said some shit. And she looked at Howard, and she looked at me, and she looked at Howard, and she looked at me, and she said, "Nein." And she whispered it with anguish. And I could tell in that moment that though Felicity thought that there was no flaw on me in any way, Felicity had to take care of her horse. She cared deeply for this horse. This horse had had a hard life. Had worked a 9-to-5 job at a Walmart. Had been laid off. Became homeless. Struggled, begged, clopping with his hooves, please. And she gave that horse a home to pull. Actually, that's kind of a shitty home. She just made the horse pull the cart for her pretzels to go to Stonehenge to sell to people she couldn't even communicate with. Isn't that sad? And though she wanted me, prepubescent, acne-ridden, short, voice crackling, hair parted down the middle because that's the way a Backstreet Boy did it one time, and Sean saw that and said, cool, I'll do it. She said 9, and I walked away. And I went to my dear brother, Nickeloid, and I said, Nick, because I don't call him that all the time. Nick. She said 9. And because of the random and seemingly arbitrary and relatively dumb decision that had been made earlier that day, whereupon I bestowed on myself the name Day, I couldn't part with my heartbreak. It was part of me now. That day when I had fallen in love and was ripped apart from my lover because of literally a horse. Isn't that fucked up? Isn't that sad? And joy and sadness. As is life, there is no joy without sadness. There is nothing except by contrast. There is not happy moments without sad moments. There is not hot without cold. There is not victory without defeat. And I marked on that day to merge these two together, the joy of seeing my brother nearby Artosis. Yeah! The joy of seeing my brother. The defeat and anguish of being permanently parted from Felicity because of this horse. This joy and anguish together represents me. My name is Day 9, and that, Hound W, is the story of Day 9. Let's try to get out of rank 18, right? Let's get on that. Let's try to fix this fucking problem, because this is a fucking problem, huh? Steakface says, air horn noise. Well
done. Your soul shall be mine. Let the hunt begin.
So I'm glad you asked. I know a lot of people ask. Also, the horse's favorite delimiters were brackets. That's why they're brackets. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. It reminded him of hooves. I'm gonna keep the Nabubian. Well, I guess we're gonna have a lot of Naboobs today. Yeah, see, and that's the thing, I'm not good at dick jokes. I'm good at making things up as I go. That, no, I got that covered. That's actually not a problem. If you want me to believe in something that I just said, totally cool. If you want me to memorize a joke, I can't do that. I can talk generally about penises, I guess? I don't know, but that seems weird. I'm not a doctor. Solar Swordsman, fast. Welcome. James the Moose says, was there much planning behind your no plate light? Okay, yeah. For any of you who haven't seen, you don't know what he's talking about, go right now, watch My Ideal Sci-Fi series. I don't want to ruin that. Or was that just amazing improv? I knew the punchline, and that was basically it. I kind of winged a lot of that. I had a sense of, like, 3 genres that I wanted to cover in various seasons. I just kind of went with it, because I'm busy, so I can't plan a lot of shit. I have to just improv it. Let's deal 7 damage. Roll and rock. Dancing Rissy says, thank you for an awesome cap to a craptastic week. Craptastic Dancing Rissies? What? What went... Rissies? Rissies, what went wrong? If I lose, Fuegen.
Stalaag kill.
What happened, Dancing Rissies? What? What? Dancing Rissies, what went down? You know what? Have yourself a 1-1, Domai. I know that's what's gonna happen, so it's not actually a big deal.
To master. Now you feel pain.
Sick. Thaddeus.
I've got the beast in myself.
Oh! 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 And the hat! No, not the hat! Scary giant annual work issue that had me working 12-hour shifts. It was a mess. Ugh. Puffer! Ugh. I'm glad we pulled Stonehenge out of that. That's really great. Come on. I wonder. I wonder. Let's do one more. Let's do this. Have I endorsed a candidate yet, Sean? Oof. I'm not a fan of a lot of them.
You asked for it.
Let the hunt begin.
So that one pretty certainly. I think that my opinion of what could be the presidential race is this.
Someday I'll be just like you.
I'll show them all.
Like, so here's die. So here's a note. I am by no means saying that I contest any, like, a general set of Republican beliefs. I'm not saying that. I don't have any issue with Republicans in general by any stretch. There's a lot of Republican rhetoric that I go, that's very sensible.
Do you have the
That's very reasonable. I understand what you're talking about, right? Right? Again, in terms of, like, as a party, and what I hear spoken, I'm like, sure, of course, that actually makes a lot of sense. Cool. Again, not with everything. Certainly I have my own understandings and views and thoughts on things. But by no means do I want to just write off, like, half of the country's opinions in a sort of joyous, I shit on someone, woo! Totally not how I feel. There's a lot of good reason there. However, when I watched the Republican debates, I got really sad. I think that is a very fair and all-encompassing sort of position to have. You know what I mean? I'm speaking slowly because politics is a very charged subject, and like,
Someday I'll be just like you.
I want to be very careful not to quickly go through something and cause any confusion that could piss people off. But boy, do those debates really just make me want to die. Okay, I'm not trying to avoid saying my opinion of it, but every clip I have seen from the Republican debates ever, and I have not done extensive looks, maybe there's some good there, but what I see are a bunch of adults yelling at each other. I'm gonna put on a hat. In particular, at the last Republican debate, there was a discussion about the size of Donald Trump's dick. For the most powerful job in the world. Now, if you tune in to the Day 9 Hearthstone Decktacular number 200, where we're having a blast, attempting to make dick jokes, but struggling a little bit because it seems not to be my forte. Sure, you might hear some references to dicks. We have, it looks like 7,000 of us live watching. There'll probably be a few 100,000 watching on YouTube. Cool. That's great. Dick jokes on the internet, I think we're good. But when it is a debate for the most powerful job in the world, it just kind of makes me sad. That is my answer to whether or not I've endorsed. Look at me, I have a kill-all card. Skirming says, thanks for giving the one most level-headed response I've seen so far. People are bad at just being level-headed, if I may say so.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
We're gonna win our last game. I find that for many people it is hard to be level-headed. To simply say, allow me to look at what is in front of me and to think about it. Right? Just thinking about it. Like, I have seen many people say these Republican debates are bad. The whole Republican Party are idiots. And I'm like, whoa! Whoa! You know, where it's just like, alright, let's be a little bit careful there, because you just talked about a whole party. Like, literally, like 150 million people. Give me that bonus star on the racist thing. I talk about this a lot, even with design work, that it is very important to make a statement and then stop. Wow, the Republican debate, it was very recent. I didn't hear a lot of discussion about issues. I heard some discussions about dick size. God, that makes me feel embarrassed. And then you just stop talking because the data of that does not extend and extrapolate to 150 million people, nor to all other walks of life, right? It just doesn't. Just make the statement of what you're seeing, and then stop. And then stop. And if there's additional information that will make you consider another thing, carefully look at that information and make a statement that is acceptable only within the bounds of the information that has been provided, and then stop. And then stop. Here's actually a challenge I have to you. Here's a challenge I have. Normally I do Q&A. Here's a challenge I have. Here's a challenge I have. My audience is primarily young folk between 18 and 35. So me doing that appealed to a vast majority of my viewers. Here's the following challenge. Here's the following challenge. So here's a subtext, and subtext that just the no, it is a sub. Here's a subtext of what I want to say, but I'm going to make it text. I think it is very important not to try to be right, to find someone who is wrong and to go, I can't believe you believe that, that's so stupid, I'm right, you're wrong, ah, God, let me go to people who I also, who agree with me and go, hey, we're friends, now look how wrong those people are, ah, yeah, I hate them, they suck. It is not important to be right. It is important to understand. Understand. This person here, who believes something different than you, most people are actually quite smart, so they probably believe that for a reason. And there was a study I was hearing about recently where there were two people on opposite sides, and this person who had the objectively correct scientific information was talking to this person who had an opinion that was directly conflicting with the scientific information. And the question was, how does the person who actually does know the thing to make this person understand? And telling them they're wrong, giving them facts didn't work. Giving them horrible information, such as, wow, if you believe that giving vaccinations causes problems, it's going to cause your kids to die. Like, giving them horrifying information about it also didn't cause them to do that. Didn't cause them to. You know what was the most effective technique to cause someone to change their viewpoint, especially an entrenched viewpoint, not based in evidence? It's to ask them about it. Tell me more. Tell me about that. Tell me about your view. Now that you've said that, wait, what about this thing you said? Does that conflict with that thing you said? Just ask them about it. Just talk to them. Let them know. Just don't be combative. Just try to learn more. 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 I'm seeing 187 says most people are smart. Hell no. Totally fucking wrong. Most people are actually quite smart and have a good understanding. But if you ask them, you will start to actually see what's there, and they will start to be able to understand and see what's going on. That was the study and squeezy thing. So here's the challenge. Here's the challenge that I pose to you. So because my audience is 18 to 35, typically, many of you, according to just basic statistical evidence, believe that global warming is a real thing. Now, don't go talk to anyone right now. I want you just to stop and think, what do I know to support this? Really answer that question for yourself. What do I know? And I have this discussion with my dear friend Tristan where we just saw heinous arguments on our Facebooks about people being like, if you don't believe in global warming, you're a piece of shit and you're ruining the world. And it was like, whoa. And people being like, yeah, the scientific is not, And what's amazing is that global warming is a particularly vitriolic topic. Because there's two layers here. There's the evidence layer, what's actually going on, and then there's the social layer, which is how people are actually communicating about and understand. I, for instance, believe that global warming exists, but I do not have an extensive research background in this. I am not ultra familiar with the science behind measuring historical data. There's a whole lot that I actually don't know. And it's important for me to recognize what my position is and then recognize what my knowledge is and to recognize those differences. It's important for me to recognize those differences. And not to be a dick about it. I'm not telling you to go talk to anyone. I want you to sit there and talk to yourself. I want you to talk to yourself. I want you to talk to yourself. I want you to just think, what is my viewpoint on these things? Where does this knowledge come from? Where does this information come from? Do I actually even know what I'm talking about? And I think that for a large majority of people who are listening to this right now, the answer is no. You actually don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying that's bad, and I'm not saying that you're shitty and boo on you, because I want you to be thinking about this on your own. I want you to be in a safe place where you can just reflect. I'm not saying you have to. For me, my understanding is based upon I did a bunch of research and saw that a bunch of prominent people who were experts and did a little research on those people, and I was like, wow, they have a lot of credential. And then I just stopped and said, I don't know, I believe those guys. And I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. There's my position and there's what I know. So I challenge you. I challenge you to do this on this particular topic of global warming, and hopefully it will cause you to expand into the realm of not trying to be right, but trying to understand other people and trying to understand their perspectives. And I hope that you can use the global warming thing as a way to understand you. And the next time you talk to someone who disagrees with you, knowing that a safe route is to go, oh, really? Tell me about that. That's interesting. Tell me about that. Tell me more. Let me try to connect with you. Let me try to become more understanding of you. And thus he descends from his soapbox. I will see you tomorrow. It will be mostly walking.